Hey, thanks for hanging out with me at the bar. I figured this would be a good setting for tonight, being that it's New Year's Eve, and that means it's time to reflect upon the year, to have my annual top 10, which has become a tradition. It's usually top AVGN, but sometimes top Cinemassacre in general. Sometimes it's top moments, other times top episodes. It started back in 2006 when Screw Attack was making all kinds of top 10s, and they made a top 10 nerd moments of the year. And I really like that, so I've been keeping it going after all these years. So cheers to Screw Attack for starting this tradition of almost 2 decades now. Now, just to be clear, these are picked by me. These are my personal favorites of the year. I'd like to know what yours are that I've done. Typically, I would just show clips, but in recent years, I've been giving it more commentary. Because back then it was more about, hey, here's something for New Year's Eve that you can throw on in the background. But lately it's been becoming a lot more meaningful for me because it's an opportunity for me to look back at what I've accomplished this year. And it's good to reflect in general for everybody. So that's more the point now. I'm doing this for myself and to share it with you. I don't get the chance that often to talk about the making of these videos because I'm too busy making them, you know? So bottom line, I'm going to talk a lot. I hope you're okay with that. It's a commentary of the year. So, holy shit, when I look back, I put out a lot of stuff this year, and with a lot of variety. A video game, a music video album, a book, even a hot sauce. I made 8 nerd episodes, a bunch of in-depth film essays. I made appearances at MagFest, Too Many Games, also traveled to Phoenix, Arizona for Game On Expo, and Chicago for G-Fest. Also this year, I traveled to LA for my good old friend Kevin's wedding. And also, my mom and I went on a bucket list trip to Barcelona, Pisa, Florence, Rome, and Pompeii. So I've been all around this year. So I'd say I had a good year, even though in general, in the world, it's been a really fucking shitty year. But hey, that's what this is for, to, get your mind off all the bullshit. And going back to childhood, I've always kept busy with creative projects for that kind of reason, as a distraction, Life's all about doing what makes you happy. All right, let's get down to the list. It's very hard to put these in order, but these are the ones that stick out to me the most. So here we go, the top 10 Cinemassacre Projects of 2025. Number 10. Monster Madness, the Haunted House episode. So this year the theme was Screams Not on Screen. So rather than reviewing a bunch of movies, we got outside to talk about Halloween things in general. I'd say my favorite was the Haunted House episode because we got to go to a really cool haunted attraction called Reaper's Revenge in the Scranton, Pennsylvania area. It was amazing, possibly the best haunted attraction I've ever been to. But what can I say that's not already in the video? Well, I think we mentioned that we got the VIP treatment for press. I went there with Justin, Ryan, and Pat, the guys from Screenwave. We had a really great time. So this whole VIP tour, basically it was like a look at behind the scenes of how they do a lot of the effects and everything, and give you a lot more insight into all the people who work really hard to put this haunted attraction together. And I want to say that they were very hospitable. They gave us free food and beer too. So not only did I get to go on an amazing haunted house for free, but I got the VIP experience. So this was for press. It was for YouTubers and news and stuff like that. So anyway, I mean, it's always refreshing to go outside and film something like a Cinemassacre field day. Because, most of the videos I'm just sitting down inside, and I like to get out. And this video got me out. Number 9, hot sauce. This is one of those things that came out of left field. RetroWare came to me with this idea to team up with Lava Drops to make a Cinemassacre branded hot sauce. I like hot sauce, so I was all into it. And I think this is the first edible product we've ever made. So I got to choose the flavors and everything.
Woo! Yeah!
They made the art on the labels and they would show me everything for approval. I remember I wanted to play up the buffalo diarrhea aspect, but we couldn't say diarrhea or show a buffalo shitting on the label. So I suggested, how about we have the buffalo shitting on a toilet with a newspaper, and they did that, and it's great. They're all very tasty. I put them on my food a lot.
Whoa. I took too much there. Oh, wow.
I should put out a warning for the dumpin' buffalo because it is extremely hot. That one's a dare, which is the whole point. So take caution. Put it on food. Don't drizzle it on your tongue like I did.
Not bad. I'm waiting for it. Oh, yeah, there it is. It's creeping up. So that's what buffalo diarrhea dump tastes like. Whoa. Oh, this is the gift that keeps on giving. Woo! Yeah! Oh my God, now it's getting worse. Dragon fire.
If you want to try it out, check out the link in the description. In fact, I'm going to put down a link for all the videos and products that are mentioned here. Number 8, why I love film genres. So this was like a trilogy, 3 elaborate videos discussing film genres. First was martial arts, then classic sci-fi, and at last, film noir. These were genres that I always wanted to talk about more. I have a whole month dedicated to horror films, so I just felt like I wanted to share my passion for some other genres as well. My purpose was to make sort of a beginner's guide to these genres. If you're just starting to get interested in them, this would be a good place to start. Each of these was a huge project. Just gathering all the clips and images was a project in itself, not to mention the writing and editing. Very time consuming. But it kept my mind busy for a long time. These were a labor of love, and I'm always happy to talk film, so I'm glad I finally got to put the spotlight on these classic genres. Number 7, Metroid. Now we're getting into AVGN territory, and it's actually kind of crazy that the Metroid episode is only number 7. That's because there's so much more coming up. Now, the Metroid episode gave me an excuse to play some games I really loved, as opposed to ones that pissed me off, even though it still pissed me off to some degree. And I've realized over time that it's okay to review a good game every now and then. Whether I love it or hate it, all that matters is if I have something to say and that I care about it one way or another. The Metroid episode is like the Earthbound episode or Majora's Mask, Final Fantasy VI, one of those where it's this huge epic review of a game that is loved by many. But I took it a step further and made it all about the original Metroid trilogy, so it was really like 3 episodes rolled into one. I'm glad to have finally made this episode because it was on my list for many years. Number 6, Mario Paint with GWAR. Okay, doing a full episode on Mario Paint was another thing that I've always wanted to do, but it needed a unique angle. Well, Justin reached out to GWAR for me and brought up the idea, a very general idea, just said, hey, would you want to ever do an episode with GWAR? And the answer is a definite yes. So they sent over Sawborg Destructo and Grodius Maximus to do the review with me. Now, I wrote a script, but I let them improv a lot, similar to early episodes like Spider-Man. I knew that GWAR would say funnier stuff than I could ever write, so that made it real fun. It was the same type of atmosphere where it's buddies on the couch, cracking up and having a good time. Sean had his hands full with the editing for this episode because there was so much footage that needed to be sorted through. So this is one of those episodes where there could be plenty outtakes. So one funny thing about sitting next to GWAR is that halfway through the episode, I realized I had all this, fake blood on my arm. And I'm like, how did that get here? And then I realized it's because these guys are dripping with blood from last night's show. If you're familiar with GWAR, they use tons of fake blood and drench the crowd. So these guys play a show, they get up in the morning, do some interviews, then they come over and film an episode with me, and then it's off to another show that very night. And then throw in a meet and greet on top of that. That's what I appreciate so much about them. They're 100% all in. They live it to the max. So part 2 of this extraordinary day was going to the GWAR concert afterwards. So there is a photo of me with the whole band before the show, but so far that photo has never surfaced, sadly. But let me tell you how amazing this whole experience was. First of all, just being backstage while I'm waiting for my appearance, seeing all the props and severed heads and all that back there, it was really cool to get a behind the scenes glimpse at all that stuff. So for anyone who likes special effects, that was a real awesome privilege to see all that. And then I was brought out on stage as the nerd to be killed. And wow, I couldn't believe how many people in that crowd knew who I was. As soon as I came out, I saw people's faces all covered in GWAR blood, shouting, "Holy shit," and just pointing at me. Like, wow, that was unexpected. So then when they kill me, they have this blade with a tube that shoots out the blood. And I wore an old shrunken nerd shirt that I wasn't going to wear anymore because afterwards, there's no way I'm washing that. I'm hanging that up somewhere. But the thing is, on video, whether it was the lighting or the angle, for some reason you don't see the blood. So then the last part of that night that was really cool was right after I get killed, after I get dragged off stage, everybody backstage is giving me fist bumps and I'm coming out there like almost like I've been baptized in GWAR. And then as I go back out into the audience, I'm getting recognized by fans for the rest of the night. They're getting pictures with me and everything. I still got the GWAR blood all over my shirt. And it was great. It kind of turned into like a little meet and greet. So yeah, a lot happened that day. It was really fun. So yeah, I had to say a lot about this one because there was a lot to say. And I would rank this project up higher for the experience alone, but I'm going to go with the one I think was the better episode, which brings me to number 5. Number 5, Werewolf: The Last Warrior. Maybe it wasn't as fun of an experience getting hair glued to my face for 4 hours and then having to perform in it, but it's something I like to do because I think it's helpful as a filmmaker to know what it feels like for an actor to go through crazy makeup. And if you want to know, it was very itchy. Oh yeah, and very hard to remove. I mean, it was basically like hours just like pulling hair off of my face. Joe Lascola did the makeup. He did a great job, exactly what I wanted. He also did the aging makeup for the Beating Jekyll and Hyde episode. He works on the RetroWare games. He does effects, he writes, he shoots. He's one of those guys who does a whole bunch of stuff. So for years, we've been talking about the idea of that episode and making it like a spoof of the Wolfman. I wanted to do a full transformation sequence as a tribute to Lon Chaney Jr., where they would gradually apply the makeup to his face and make him transform through a series of cross dissolves. To do this, you have to remain absolutely still. Now, of course, you can get up in between shots, but you have to come back to that exact same position. So there's this old trick of mine. I put cellophane over a monitor and use markers so that we would remember the spot. Now that's similar to what they had done on the Wolfman, actually. They had several different sheets of glass and they would mark each of them. So when Chaney would get back into frame, he would have to line up with all the markings on the glass. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's the gist. So the point is we were relying on old techniques, not, computer-aided stuff. The hardest part was the teeth. Yeah, we tried various methods. There's a type of standard vampire teeth that you push over your real teeth, and it has like a putty adhesive on it. I could not get those things to stay on. I mean, we ended up using one of those, fake teeth with the gums, but it wouldn't stay on either. And not the top anyway, but then we tried it on the bottom and that was fine. That worked enough. Now, of course, it was very hard to talk with that in there. So I thought I was going to have to ADR the whole episode. That's basically when you dub over it. And, that's very time consuming in itself because you have to match each syllable. You have to match the performance. There's a lot of editing afterwards to get it all to line up. But when I was looking at the footage, I was like, hey, you know what? That's not really worth it because it's funnier when you can hear me struggling with the teeth. So why ADR it? That would only take the humor away. So I left it as is. I also have to mention I play 2 of the characters, the other being a spoof of Maliva from The Wolfman. Now, I'm basically doing an exaggerated impression of Maria Uspenskaya. So I first asked Mike if he wanted to do it, because I just thought it would be funny to see Mike in that character. So I shot a demo for him just to show him what I needed him to do. I got in the costume, I did the voice and everything, and he thought it was really funny, so he said I should just keep it, and That's what I ended up doing. I hired Derek Palmer for the music. Now, he's done a lot of stuff for me in the past, including the Jekyll and Hyde movie trailer. I wanted something that sounded like the Wolfman, as if it was recorded in the 40s, but not with the same melody or anything. And it came out perfectly. So obviously, with the classic horror theme, I feel like this has to be my favorite nerd episode of the year. But wait, we have 4 projects left on the list. Number 4, Frankenstein. Okay, so many years back I made a Dracula video comparing 12 of the movies to the book to see which one is the most faithful. I was very proud of that video, and over the years I would sometimes get asked if I'm ever planning to do the same thing with Frankenstein. Well, the problem was the Dracula video took quite a few months to make, so big project. So if I knew if I was ever going to do Frankenstein, then I shouldn't make any other plans for a while. So I put it off for many years as I was busy working on other videos. But when Del Toro's Frankenstein came out, I thought, you know what? This is the best time to do it. It's now or never. I crammed it. I started it in October and finished in November. So it was a lot of, losing sleep over it. So I had to watch or rewatch most of the movies. I had to read the book again. And while I'm doing this, I'm taking notes and building a big chart and coming up with topics and points. Now, the writing was intense because there was so much information and so much explanation to clarify stuff that I had to really make sure I got everything right. Well, mostly everything. With an hour-long video like that, of course, a few little things are going to slip by, but nothing that changed the score drastically. The winner was very clear. It was the Hallmark version from 2004. So then it was gathering all the clips and images and getting the right freeze frames for each and every one of those topics. That was a project in itself. And then when I got to the editing, it was a nightmare, as expected. Now, this almost broke my computer. Like, as I got near the end, Adobe Premiere started choking up really bad. Like, weird glitches were happening, and I was really worried I wasn't going to be able to finish it, and all that work will get flushed down the shitter. So just think, the video is almost an hour long, and then I have all those layers of graphics and effects. You have like 12 screenshots for the films, and then that score counter. That score counter drove me fucking nuts. There's no easy way to do it, at least not to my knowledge, because, it's easy to make a counter. Like, of course, I could just make a counter that just keeps on going continuously, but for it to change the number at specific key moments, that was something that was completely manual. Originally, the score, I don't mean to get too in-depth with this one because there's so much I could talk about, but just to give you an idea, the text layer for the score counter was one layer at first. So I would type it all out, enter, enter, make another line, enter, enter, so on. But what happened here, every time one of the films would get a point, it would move over all the other numbers. I would have to adjust everything, and it would be something like, okay, the number 2 takes up just a little more space than the number 1. So then I would never get any of the other scores to line up perfectly. You can see them move a little in the beginning of the video, and it was very tacky. I didn't like it. So then I changed up my strategy and ended up making 12 separate text layers for every counter. And then, even after that, I would lose track. Sometimes I would miss one, or I would fuck something up, do like a miscount. And anytime there was an error, I would have to backtrack and find where the mistake happened and then change all the numbers from that point forward. It was fucking nuts. And then, this video is probably the reason why I stopped shaving. I just got tired of it. It was slowing me down. It seems like people unanimously like it too. So both in real life and on the internet, it seems. So yeah, this was really stressful, and it wasn't something I needed in the busy holiday season. But hey, you know what? I'm really happy I did it. And would I do it again? Yeah, there's some ideas. I'm not going to say them out loud, but I feel like maybe a few years from now, I'll probably do something like this again, because it was very stimulating and a lot of fun research. I had a good time with it overall. The only advice I would give to myself is block out like 3 months so I can work on it a little more leisurely and not kill myself over it. Number 3, AVGN 8-bit. Now, the idea of making a nerd game was always something very meta and novel, which started way back with Screw Attack and Sam Bedos. So it's sort of like this game is part of a lineage to me, like a long-running joke of some kind. But the funny thing is that even though these games are based on bad games and they have a very, novel concept to them, they actually turn out very good. So this new one was developed by Programmancer and the NES version by Megacat Studios. RetroWare published it, and the music is by Dino Leonetti, who's in Rex Viper with me. So everybody did a really good job with this game. They worked really hard on it for a really long time. And me personally, I don't actually design games myself, but I appreciate what they've done. And what I really love is how much it looks like a real NES game. No, scratch that. It is a real NES game on a real cartridge. It's so legit, down to the packaging, the instruction manual, and the little black slipcase that the cartridges come in. Every little detail. Also, there were these live action cutscenes for the other version, not on the physical cartridge, because how would they do that? But Joe Lascola and Sean O'Rourke came over to film those with me. Now, that was something they came up with on the RetroWare side, so I was just coming along with the ride. So sometimes being directed in something, it helps you with your own directing. So it's good to be on both sides to keep up your skills. John Giancola did some of the practical effects. Now, those were really cool. He did some stuff for me back on the Nerd Movie more than 10 years ago. It's pretty crazy. So this was a very collaborative project, and it was a very long time in the making. So it's cool to see it come out after all this time. Oh, and of course, if you want to play it, check out the links in the description. Number 2, Rex Viper. Yeah, this is my band that covers retro movie themes and video game soundtracks. So this is a long project also. We started it in 2020 during the pandemic, which we did remotely at first. And for me, it helped me get over the depression of the pandemic in a time when it wasn't possible to interact with anyone outside your own family. But since 2021, when that shit fucking ended, we got together and recorded many music videos. So this went on very slowly, very gradually for years and years and years. But finally, in 2025, we released the whole album as a series of music videos. So you can watch the whole thing as one continuous video, Turbocharger Deluxe, on the Rex Viper YouTube channel. Check the link below. If I had to pick one of the music videos, I think my favorite would be Hero of Time, which was a Zelda spoof. For the claymation, I hired Mikhail Trench of Triclops Films, and he did a great job. So we all had a lot of fun with this. We all enjoyed it tremendously. I'll just keep the commentary simple and say, go watch the videos. And just one last word is that for now, the album is only on YouTube, but we are trying to get some version out on streaming and physical media. If we had it out this year, this would definitely be my number 1 spot. But at least the videos are on YouTube. Number 1, Gnome Cave. So I wrote a screenplay many years back and later adapted it into a short book. I've mentioned this before, but writing a book was very therapeutic for me and gave me the most creative freedom I've ever had. So that's why it has to be number 1, because it's a me project. I was able to write freely, straight from my mind onto the page without worrying about filming logistics, budget concerns, not relying on a whole bunch of people and things to sync up properly. No, nothing like that. It was just me at my computer with a cup of coffee writing. Now, one little trivial thing to note is that I wrote it in 2024, but it was published in 2025. So even though you could call it a 2024 project, was the year of the dragon after all, it still counts in the top 10 for 2025 because that's when it was released. And that goes the same with many of these things on the list. So that kind of just segues into a little something. I just want to say that I've been working on a lot of other stuff that hasn't been released, or certain things that I started on. So I'm just putting that out there, that there's a lot of other stuff I've been doing. So anyway, about Gnome Cave, I'm just glad that it's finally been able to come out into the world, that I've been able to tell this story that's been stewing in my head for so many years. And I'm happy that I've gotten some really kind messages saying how the theme of nostalgia resonated with them and the idea of the excessive idealization of things from the past. This is a dark, sad story, much different than the lighthearted, funny stuff I usually put out. Some have said it's got a little bit of Stephen King, a little Goosebumps, and Twilight Zone, all things I love. So go check it out. The link is below. And I'll just wrap this all up by saying I look forward to what next year holds. And, 2026 will be the 20th anniversary of the YouTube channel. That's kind of crazy. So, anyway, I hope you all had a good year. And if not, I hope next year is better. Best of luck with your own projects or endeavors. And Happy New Year.